So I'm thinking about my next real estate investment, and I was reached kind of a dilemma, and I couldn't figure out, should I finish my basement first, or should I focus on building this ADU? And one of the reasons that I didn't feel like finishing my basement was because right now I already have it rented, so it feels like if I finish it, the returns on that are pretty marginal. So I called Andrew. He's my financial planner, and he ran a big analysis for me. And he's here to kind of explain the results of that.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. So Cassidy reached out to me wanting to know if she should finish her basement first or should she build this auxiliary dwelling, basically a second home on the back of her property. What we took a look at, a bunch of different numbers, bunch of analysis, but what we wanted to figure out is how she could have the auxiliary dwelling built fastest and the basement finished. So an order of operations question, and then what's basically affordable and what can be done. So we took a look at other comparable homes in the neighborhood. We saw that by finishing the basement and adding a bedroom and bathroom, you had a large step up in equity. We also saw that just based out of your savings, unfortunately, you weren't able to write a check for that auxiliary unit on day one. So
no. So the construction costs for an auxiliary ADU or a garage with a two-bedroom apartment above it is around $200,000. That's a low estimate, but some people are saying $250,000 to do a project like that.
Without that cash available, how do you do it? So that was basically the analysis that we had to run. So it started with just taking a look at the real estate that you have and how do we improve the value of that so that you have more money available to build. By finishing the basement, we estimated that you were able to add about $85,000 worth of equity on day one, the day that it's finished. And all that equity becomes available to you to loan as a home equity line of credit to build that next unit. So our advice was to go ahead and do the basement, do a big increase in your equity by finishing that, and then leverage that home equity to build the auxiliary dwelling. The problem was still, though, that by finishing the basement and getting the equity, you didn't have enough cash to build on the day the basement was finished. You'll have more equity available, somewhere between $100,000 and $150,000 at that point, but that still doesn't cover the $200,000 cost. So how do we close that gap? And luckily, we've been in a nice real estate market here. We know that if just real estate continues to appreciate, even at conservative numbers, you'd be looking at somewhere around a 2 to 3 year time frame before just the market growth itself would allow you to loan to build that ADU. If you want to shorten that time frame, it's on your own savings, your own cash flow to combine the loan with your own savings to be able to do it. So if you're pretty aggressive in saving, we think that it could be done within the next year and a half. If you just wait on the real estate market, we conservatively think it's in a 3 year time frame. So somewhere between 1.5 to 3 years from now, you could have the basement finished and then start construction on the next dwelling.
Wow. I love equity. Home equity is amazing. Thank you, Denver real estate market. So I guess the next question I had was, well, I plan to save the tenant, the rent income from my tenant, and I can probably do a little additional savings. So it looks like, based on your analysis, I could probably do that in about 2 years. But my next fear was like, how am I going to pay this off? This is a huge, and it's almost as much as what my house is worth now. So in addition, like a $200,000 HELOC or whatever, how am I going to pay that down? Or what does the payment structure look like on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because just because a bank's going to loan you money doesn't mean that you should take it. Everyone's situation is a little different on that. So a couple things on the line of credit. It is an interest-only loan, so you have a little bit of payment flexibility that you're just having to pay interest. You don't have to pay principal.
And so on this project, the interest came out to about
$650 a month at current rates.
And I feel like I can rent that 2-bedroom unit for about $2,000 a month. So that makes me feel totally comfortable. But that's just the interest.
Yeah, $650 a month at current rates is what we expect the interest to be. To pay that loan off in less than 15 years, we were expecting to have the $650 in interest plus the remainder of that $2,000 go to paying down the loan. So with those numbers, and if rates stayed the same, which they won't do, but if they, just for our analysis, That's about a 12-year payoff to have that $200,000 unit paid to completely paid off.
Well, I think that's a pretty good investment. So in 12 years, so I can finish my basement, build the ADU, and pay off that debt like in 12 years. And then that's all cash flow. So
Yep.
2000, whatever I'm making from that 2 bedroom unit plus if I'm renting out a room in my basement or whatever. So I'm pretty satisfied with the results of this analysis. And